Hey, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Ashley. We're the founders of For the Good, a community created to empower and elevate you to live a purpose-driven life.
Our mission is to bring light into our world, and to do so, we have learned that it must start within.
We are so glad to have you here with us. Hi friends, today we are diving in on the law of attraction and how it comes to play in shaping our lives. The power of our thoughts and where we focus them is so incredibly important. And I remember the first time I really started to learn and understand what this meant and looked like is through the book called The Secret. And it really played such an empowering part in my life as I learned what does positive thinking look like and the importance of where we are directing our thoughts.
Similarly, for me, I know when they released the video version of The Secret, that's the first thing that I saw that opened up my eyes to the law of attraction, to positive thinking, and to living with intention and clarity. So when we first watched the movie, I remember realizing that my thoughts were what controlled my life, and that life wasn't just happening to me, it was something that I could actually control. And that was the biggest eye-opening moment, was when I realized that all these issues that I was having at the time and the problems I had with myself and being so down about things, and this showed me that any change that was going to happen had to happen within, and it had to be something that I had brought about, and the only way that I was going to become this vision of myself that I had always wanted to be was to actively create that vision in my mind first and allow my life to follow suit. So if you're watching this or you're reading the book, I think it's a very, very big tool in just not only helping you understand the law of attraction, but how to implement it and actually live what it's trying to teach you.
Yeah, when I watched The Secret for the first time and read the book, it was the first time when I realized, how we have the power and control over our thoughts and how that manifests in our lives. And it's interesting because for years before that, I would write down positive affirmations and goals and all this kind of stuff, but I didn't really know what to call it. And the law of attraction, as Jordan and I have shared, it has played such an empowering role in both of our lives in so many different ways. And it's really interesting because this is such an important topic to talk about, because too often we feel like, as Jordan mentioned, that life is happening to us, but really it's happening for us. And we have the ability as to how we redirect and shift what is going on in our life. It is important to remember that what you focus on grows and what you think about expands. And as Mike Dooley in The Secret says, your thoughts become things. It is a way to manifest what you want into your own life. So a couple of things that Jordan and I actively do with intention to manifest the things that we want is by writing down our goals daily. So that's something that I do in my morning routine. And also at the beginning of each year, Jordan and I write down on a board that we have in our office different goals that we want to accomplish in the new year. It's really interesting to look back and reflect on at the end of the year. And even then, it is a room where we go in every single day. So we are always looking at it and thinking about different ways to be able to get ourselves for those things to come to pass.
So one thing that I picked up when I watched The Secret was they talked about vision boards. And if you watch the movie, the guy who talks about making this vision board, he shares a story of saying, he just moved into this brand new house with his family, and his son was sitting on one of the boxes he had yet to unpack. And he was asking his dad, what's in the box, and he says, so I told him it was my vision board box, and I had all these things that he had set up and put pictures on of things he wanted to attract into his life, and opportunities he wanted to have, or places he wanted to go, or just overall any type of thing he may want, or any type of feeling he may want to experience. And as he's explaining it, he says, well, I can show you better if I just actually show it to you. And his moment came when he opened up this box, pulled out his vision board, and he saw the picture of a house on this vision board. And immediately he says he got very emotional because he was actually sitting in the exact house that was on his vision board. Not something like it, not a house kind of similar. He had put a picture of a house probably 5 years before this, of the house he wanted to move into. And without even realizing it, the house came up for sale, he bought it, and he's starting to unpack his things, and he realized this is the exact house that I had a picture of years ago that I said I was going to move into. And that was something that really spoke to me as just such a huge moment, like, something that really shows you like this is real. This is how life works. This is how I can change my life and I can manifest the things I want to manifest. So ever since then, I've probably every couple years I do a new vision board and I keep that with me. It hangs up in our house here. And in the digital age, Ashley actually does this on her phone, where she has a digital vision board as her background that she's able to look at every single day just to keep that motivation going. And I can say, without even realizing it, same as in the video, you go about your life and you can't actively always be thinking these things, but when you keep it in the back of your mind, you start to realize that things you had wished for, or experiences you wanted to have, or certain things you were looking forward to that you're really hoping for, they start to happen. And whether you know it or not, you are just living in this world that you are creating for yourself. So my advice would be to really look into vision boards and to start making one for yourself. And really what we have to remember is, since we're always in the creating phase, our mind is always working. As you are making this vision board and you're looking at these pictures of the things you want, you are actively creating those emotions and calling this into your life. And that's the first step of trying to manifest something, is just being clear about what you want and having clear intention and focus. So that's been a huge tool for me, something I've really enjoyed doing. And, even on those hard days or on days that I'm not really feeling my best, I like to just look at that and to remind myself of where I'm going and where I want to end up.
Yeah, I really like how you mentioned about feeling the emotions of when something that you want to happen comes to pass. Because I read in one of the books from the Secret series that it's important to focus on the emotions that you would feel when this comes to pass. And also, when you are creating your vision board, to think of it as though it has already happened. So believe and know that these things have already come to pass in your life, and also to give gratitude because it has. And as Jordan mentioned, I created a digital vision board that I have on the background of my phone, so that way I can focus on the different things that I want to come to pass in my life. And also I take it in subconsciously throughout the day as well. And one of the things that I added onto my digital vision board was a lake house. When I was younger, I would go visit my grandparents at their lake house where they lived. And I remember, growing up and just thinking how amazing it was to be able to spend your time by the water and enjoy, the scenery when the sun came up and the sun went down. It was just always something that I held in my heart to come to pass in my own life. And so as years went by and I grew up, it's something that I continued to pray on and believe that I wanted to come to pass, although I felt as though it would come into my life much later. And Jordan and I, in this year, after we got married, we said the year after we get married, we are going to start looking at a new house to be able to start our family. And when we started looking, this house, it was amazing how it just came up out of nowhere. And the realtor invited us to go look at it. And he said, today is the day that they're going to start looking at offers and accept one. It just was an incredible feeling, because within myself, I felt as though like this is the one. I looked over at Jordan and he said the same thing. So we both had this feeling that this is where we were meant to be. And as everything aligned, it is on the lake. So it's amazing when you have something in your forefront of your mind and how you focus on it, how it can manifest and come to pass. And I want to make a note that it can also come to pass much sooner than you expect for your life. So know and believe that anything you are focusing on or believe in, it can happen.
Yeah, just to add to that a little bit more, one thing that Ashley and I would do a lot is we would go to this lake and we would drive around and just listen to music, have the top down on a summer day, and just take in all these feelings of what it would feel like to be living there. And at the time, when we started looking, that week we had gone and we looked at a few, and something Ashley and I have heard from a lot of people is when you're looking for a house, like Ashley said, you get a feeling. And if you walk in somewhere and you don't get that feeling, it's not something you really want to force, or you want to say, well, this one's good, I guess I'll take this one. You have to have that feeling that says this is where you are meant to be. So after looking at a handful of them, we hadn't had that feeling yet. We liked a few, but it wasn't there yet. So as we're at our current home now, the night before we were going to go look at a couple houses, this house just popped up. And right away, Ashley took the information down, sent it to our realtor. I think it was 10 o'clock at night that we saw this. Mm-hmm. And first thing in the morning he responds and he says, okay, I just added that to the list, we can go and see that after these first couple. So we go and see the first couple. Same thing, we didn't really get that feeling it wasn't exactly what we wanted. And he says, all right, let's go take a look at that lake house. So we go, and as soon as we get there, like Ashley said, the second we walked in, you just get that feeling. And we both just said, this is where we are meant to be. This is it right here. And the way things went, like Ashley said, we got there it was after 11 a.m. and he said, well, they want to have an offer here by noon, so we got to act fast, because given the way the market is right now, houses are just selling like so fast, and they're selling overnight. So it was something that we had to move on, and we put our faith in it. We said, all right, if it's meant to be, then this is what it's meant to be. And about an hour later, we get a call back that our offer is accepted, and all of a sudden we have this house. When we first talked to our realtor about finding a home, he said the same thing to us. He said, right now, the way houses are selling and they're going so fast, and to be honest with you guys, I don't want to be off-putting, but to find what you want to find, it's going to be like finding a needle in a haystack. That's the exact terminology he used. And this is what we're talking about when you get to a point where you can choose how you're going to react to things and choose how you process information, and if you're going to let it stop you or if it's something that you're going to push through. So in hearing that term, as Ashley and I said after, we both could have just said, you know what, maybe he's right. Maybe it's not for us this year. Maybe we have to wait another year. Maybe we have to wait however many months, or what if we never find what we're looking for? But for us, that was never going to happen. In our mind, the second we heard you're going to have to find the needle in the haystack, our minds went to, well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to find the exact house we're meant to find. And, I completely believe that the way we approach that, having that mindset, that's why this house basically found us, the exact thing that we were looking for, and the way everything worked, just harmoniously. In our minds, that was a big kind of factor that says the law of attraction is at work. This is manifesting for you because you had complete faith in it, you had complete trust in your process, you believed you were going to find it, and now it's here. So, like we say, a lot of these things that we talk about, we're so passionate about because we're actively doing this in our own lives, and we want to share how you can do this as well. So that was like the biggest thing in this past month that, showed us that this is how life works. This is how it's meant to be. And we hope that you guys, take our examples and you apply this to your own life and try to do these things for yourself.
As Jordan mentioned, we have a choice as to how we are going to approach something, and we could have viewed it as a challenge and something that was going to be difficult. And after the realtor said that to us, after we left the house that day, Jordan and I both talked about it, and I said, he mentioned, it's like finding a needle in the haystack as to what you guys are looking for and, the chances of it coming to pass. And in my mind, when he said that, I thought to myself, well, we'll be the one to find that needle. And after we left, as I mentioned, Jordan said that he thought the same thing. So our lives are constantly being manifested into the way that we are directing our thoughts and our feelings, and it goes both for positives and negatives. So if you are looking at it on the flip side and focusing on something negative, you are also bringing that kind of stuff into your life. So if you are focusing on a lack of finances, poor health, failing grades, whatever that may be in your life, you are bringing those situations and circumstances into your life as well. So it is important to be intentional as to how we are focusing our thoughts and our intentions. So ultimately today, the message is to shift your perspective and see how the results in your life will change.
So I know in the future we're definitely going to be touching on this more, the law of attraction, positive thinking. I mean, these are things that we talk about already kind of in general because they always are in play when you're, speaking on the things we speak of. But the law of attraction, this is definitely a big subject, so I know we'll come back to it. But in this episode and for today, really I think the message is also to try these things for yourself, to really focus your attention and know where your energy is heading. And, if you're starting to think negative things about yourself or about your circumstances, stop yourself in that moment and say, this is why these things are continuing. I'm having these thoughts and this is why I struggle with these things. So instead, I'm going to focus on what I'm going to do instead of those troubles. I'm going to focus on prosperity and on better health, better wellness, on, rekindling relationships I may have lost in the past. Anything that you want to shift to a positive way, it starts with the thoughts you have in your mind. And, I think, as I said, when you're going about your day, it's hard to always, think, well, I got to monitor the thoughts I have. It's impossible to do that every day. And so I think our minds have a way of kind of bringing us back, and we're starting to get on autopilot, and we're going about our day not really thinking about our thoughts and what we're putting out there. And I think our minds have a way of kind of jumping in and showing us something that brings us back, that says, hey, remember that thing you thought of earlier? Here it is right in front of you. This is your reminder that you truly will bring these things into your life. And you can do this any way throughout the day, whether it's a cup of coffee or whatever little thing that you want to see in your life. Really think about it when you wake up in the morning and watch how that thing will appear. So, as a quick note, my favorite show of all time is The Office. And a couple days ago, I was driving in the morning, I was listening to a radio show, and they played a random clip from this episode. And, it was one of the funny parts of the series, so I remembered it through the day. I thought back on it. And, when I went home later that night, I turned on the TV, I put The Office on, I picked a random episode, and, I was kind of working on other things. I wasn't paying all that much attention. But all of a sudden, about 5 minutes in, I looked at the TV, and that exact part that I heard hours earlier on a radio show was right in front of me playing on the TV. And, for a lot of people, they could say, oh, how funny, I just heard that earlier. But for me, it was like, wow, that stuck with me. I heard that earlier. I pick a random episode, and here it is right in front of me. That was my reminder that, this is working. This is always working. Your thoughts and what you focus on will always find their way. So when you start to look at it that way, that's how you really start manifesting and learning these principles and learning that what you're focusing on is truly what's going to be present in your life going forward.
Yeah, I agree that everything in life isn't a coincidence, that it is all connected. And when we think about something and then it comes to pass in our life, it is an amazing feeling, because that's when you see how everything aligns and how you have the power to manifest it. And as you mentioned that you thought about that episode, every now and then I play this game with myself, and I actually read about it in The Power, which is the second book to the Secret series. So I will think about something I want to bring about in my life, and even if it's something small, so you can manifest something such as a coin or your favorite song on the radio. So I do this often just to be able to see how everything aligns and clicks and the timing of life. So just the other day I was thinking about one of my favorite songs by Garth Brooks, and I went outside, I got into my car, and it was the song on the radio. So even small things will click and come to pass in your life. And I encourage you to do something similar in your own life, whether it be a coin, a song, a person that you want to see. I mean, I know that Jordan and I talk about that a lot too, that we'll talk about somebody, they'll pop into our mind for the first time in a while, and all of a sudden, like the next day, we'll see them after years of not seeing them. So there's so many different ways how we are bringing about our life, and it's such a powerful thing that we have control over. And I do want to add that there are going to be times when something we really want doesn't come to pass, but I've learned that it is because God has something much bigger and grander in store. So be patient and keep focusing on the good. Today, we encourage you to be intentional as to where you are directing your thoughts. And remember that what you focus on grows. You have the power to bring about positive or negative circumstances and situations into your life. So be sure to fill yourself up with what serves you and surround yourself with those who lift you. Have a great day, everyone, and make today count.
Thanks for joining us at the For the Good podcast. We would love to connect with you. Join us on Facebook and Instagram at For the Good Official and our blog at forthegood.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode.
Remember, a positive mindset is the beginning of true happiness, not just for the good of the individual, but for the good of the world.